again. Your water is bigger than my water. Hey, everyone. We're talking about really online marketing today in this show. How do we get and exceed and get beyond the other folks out there? Our guest has a lot of great stuff on this subject. So stay tuned. How do we get better at online marketing? I think you'll probably correct me, but that feels like the main thing that we're going to talk about.
I think so.
Hello, everyone. I'm Bill Gallagher, scaling coach, host of the Scaling Up Business Podcast. Coming to you live once again, if you're watching us on Facebook, YouTube, whatever, or later on iTunes, Stitcher, etc. We have over 240 of these episodes now as we record this on every subject that you might imagine out there. All of that, all things around people, strategy, execution, and cash, you'll find at scalingcoach.com. As well as, I'll give you a copy of the book, Scaling Up for free, if you just pay the shipping and handling. Is that too much to ask? Free book. Just pay the shipping and handling. Anyway, all that stuff and more is at scalingcoach.com, where you can find all those back things. Downloads, show notes, special offers, all that. Scalingcoach.com. The music is really there so I can sip on my beverage. So I want to welcome Jordan West to the show. Jordan is you'll hear a lot about Jordan, but he's got an entrepreneurial background with a mix of some hard knocks experiences, right?
Yep.
Going into restaurant business. He'll tell you more about that. And he runs a marketing company today. They also have a brand with his wife, does some distribution, product marketing stuff. He'll talk to you about that. And you're in the Vancouver area?
I am. Yeah, we're about an hour outside of Vancouver.
Right. And as soon as you say a boot, we can hear it coming in.
And that's why I said it. I actually, didn't have to, but I did.
Well, it's a process. Let's keep on schedule. Sorry. So we're talking about all these things. I'm having a little fun. I'm outside of San Francisco in the Oakland Hills, where it's heading to 71 degrees today. It's awesome.
We're not snow. It's not snow here, I'll tell you that, but it is just pure rain outside, just soaking everything. And we're down in, phase 2 lockdown right now. So it's
we have to stay at home.
Yes, we're staying at home. Luckily, I actually, during the first round of COVID, I looked in my backyard. I'm like, I think I can build an office back there. So I built a 2-story office just in case something like this happened again. And it did.
And it did, after 24 years of having a formal office, and I was in the same building for 24 years, we moved out. And at the beginning of the pandemic, and this room that I'm in now, my home office, recording studio, etc., control center, headquarters of the global empire that is scalingcoach.com. But behind me, there where those bookshelves are, there used to be bunk beds when the kids were young, and room became our daughter's room, and then she moved outside. Anyway, my kids are both grown and out in the world now. I'm so proud and grateful to say. And so the spare bedrooms have all been converted to home offices, and now the back studio has our guest quarters.
Nice. For when you can have guests again.
We've had outdoor furniture, we've added patio heaters, right? Everything is designed to be outside and stay home.
Yeah. That's great.
It's so funny. How has life changed for us? So as we get into the core of your topic today, why don't you give folks kind of the background? Tell them the arc of your career. Talk about where you grew up, and tell us about the restaurant, painful lessons, etc.
What a great lesson that was. So I actually started out my career as a paramedic, and I actually still am a part-time paramedic. So I just work one shift a month or so. just because I still think it's really fun. So I started as a paramedic about 13 years ago, and business was always in my family, but it sort of skipped my dad. My dad was a pastor, and interestingly, I always just had this drive for business, and our family. Yeah, totally. And so as as a young person, I looked at my family business, and they owned a mill and a bunch of land and all this sort of stuff. And I was like, okay, guys, I want to do this. Like, how do I get started on this? And the family just was not into it. They did not want me anywhere near it. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to go to business school, but I should probably buy a business and just figure out how that goes. So I went on Craigslist, 22-year-old or 23-year-old Jordan, and went on Craigslist, and I was like, interesting.
Business.
Yeah, I'm just going to call them up and buy their business. So there was 3 of these for sale, these Taco Del Mar restaurants. And what I learned afterwards was that they were actually going through a bankruptcy at their head office. So I was like, well, you know what? I mean, what's the worst case scenario? Like it was $35,000 I bought this restaurant for. And, 23 years old, I didn't really have a lot of money at the time, but I was like, okay, I can take a line of credit out. And like worst case scenario, I'm going to like lose $35,000. Well, that wasn't the worst case scenario.
For a lot of 23-year-olds, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Not a small thing. Yeah. Good for you.
So I thought to myself, like, okay, that's the worst case scenario. Well, the worst case scenario was actually I lost, about 150,000 over that time. I was working just crazy hours.
I've never put money into a business that wasn't working.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I'm sure people listening to this show completely understand. Luckily, I have actually learned from this experience. So some of the things that I felt like I was pretty good at during that time was the marketing. So I was like, okay, I can get people into the store. We actually tripled the sales in that time of getting people into the store. But still, I mean, it was a losing game. I felt like we could not make money in this restaurant. And really, even looking at the numbers, I think we would have had to like 10x those sales to even start to make a profit with all the costs that we had. And so I feel like I've learned a lot from that experience. But one of the great things that I ended up doing was getting on the board of the marketing board of these of Taco Del Mar. Interestingly, we were actually bought by Subway about a year in. And so they owned our head office, which was super cool. Because I got to go and, chat with the Subway execs and all of that sort of thing, and get to like learn from their ad agencies as well, because you're the board that gets to say yes or no to these things. So it was really interesting seeing what they were doing on that side. Fast forward, I ended up selling the business for $25,000. So, I took a $10,000 hit there, plus all the money that I'd put in. And I was like, I guess that's it. I guess I kind of failed at business.
Right.
What's that?
You got the tax advantage of that, right?
I did get the tax advantage afterwards. But the interesting thing about that is that you do have to make money eventually to make that tax advantage work.
Yes, you do.
Well, luckily the story didn't end there, because this probably wouldn't be that great of a podcast unless you want to do some like counseling with me or something on what that's like to be 23 years old and lose everything essentially. I did get out of that phase.
Yeah.
In 2013 we had our first daughter, and we were trying cloth diapers at the time. So cloth diapers. Again, speaking of bad decisions, I feel like there was a lot of bad decisions that I made throughout this whole time, and cloth diapers was one of them, except for the fact that we couldn't find leggings that would fit over top of these cloth diapers. And so my wife has a fashion design background, and she was like, I think I can probably make some leggings, like just make a pattern and make it just a little bit different to actually fit over cloth diapers and regular diapers as well. And so she did, and brought them to markets, and people were like, this is amazing. And we got our first wholesale order from a town about 3 hours away from us. And it was like a $500 order. And we're like, whoa, this is a real business. So that was in late 2013. Right? What's that, Bill?
From a $500 order, we've got a real business.
Totally. Well, we're like, okay, well, somebody wants this. And we didn't know anything about wholesaling. We didn't know anything about Keystone pricing. We had no clue on any of this sort of stuff. We were just kind of making it up as we went along.
Yes. I think it's
So
really, yeah, keep going.
yeah, so I'll just kind of bring you up to speed of where we're at now. So in that time there's these great memories that I have in our house where every single piece of furniture has clothes on it, and we're fulfilling from within our living room in our house. And
Yes.
we're still kind of reeling from that loss of Taco Del Mar, but the first year I think we ended up doing like 50,000 in sales, and we're like, okay, this is awesome. And then we took on another person, and I think we did like 100,000 in sales that year, and we're like, oh my gosh, this is like turning into a business. And wow, what are we seeing here? And we were forced into, my wife always said, this is just always going to be an at-home business. And we had like fabric like all over our house. And we tried to put an addition onto our house, and the city said, no, you're too close to a creek. You can't do it. Yeah. And so we found 1,000 square foot little unit about a 5-minute walk away from us, and we're like, okay, this is going to be our headquarters now. And slowly but surely we started scaling this business up to where we had multiple employees. We got manufacturing, and to now where we're this particular business is mid 7 figures now. We've also added on a marketing agency to kind of vertically integrate into our company, which is its own separate entity. But we've made a lot of mistakes along the way. But I think that they make for great stories.
They do it. And is that Little and Lively? Is that the business?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. So that's another big mistake that we've made that we're trying to fix right now. Is Little and Lively is the really well-known brand, but now we have a pajama brand and we have a women's brand, and women, it doesn't make sense for it to be Little and Lively. That just doesn't jive. So we're trying to end all of our brand confusion right now, while also in the acquisition mode of trying to pick up more brands that make sense for the customers that we're serving.
Sub brands, right?
Yeah.
You're doing the roll up of sub brands, creating a umbrella brand then for the.
That's exactly it. So we're trying to work. How does that work into everybody who knows about us already? And branding is not my forte. So that's been a really fun discussion. That I feel like I'm really learning right now with that.
So why don't you talk to us? You had said in getting ready for the show that one of the books that had a big influence on you was Contagious. Talk about the book and what you got from that.
Yeah, so I read Contagious when I think we had 2 kids at the time, and my wife is just a Disney freak, and she wanted to go to Disney World, and just the 2 of us. And so our kids stayed at home. We went to Disney World. Yeah. Disneyland, I think it's okay for little kids, not Disney World. That's next level there. And so we went on this trip, and in the airport, I picked up a copy of this book called Contagious. I thought, oh, it's great, good business book. And in it, Jonah Berger talks about this clothing brand that was really struggling. I think they were like really close to bankruptcy, but they decided to start to password protect their site and make it like a VIP experience. And then they rebranded, and they ended up like something like 10xing. I don't know the exact number, but like just turning this around and becoming this incredible brand because of this VIP experience that you couldn't just go to the website. You had to sign up and then get a password, and then they would have launches. And that's the way that they did it. And so, of course, I read the book, and then I immediately implemented it 3 years later.
And the original Rockefeller habits. I'm like, oh, those all sound like a good idea. Honey, I'm busy right now. I can't work on these things. I'll get to them 10 years later.
Yeah. Exactly. But they're like in the back of your mind. So on my podcast, I actually had a guest who was telling me that they sold out of clothing launches just to their Facebook VIP group. And I thought, this kind of reminds me of what Jonah Berger was talking about in Contagious. Yeah. I wonder if this is kind of the same thing and how I can now implement it. And I feel like I was ready at that point to start implementing a strategy like that. I could finally sort of wrap my head around, okay, this is why we do it. This is sort of how we get people in. And so that's, one of the big things that we've been hitting really hard in our clothing company, as well as in our agency, helping people scale.
So talk to us about tell the story of how you create the groups and what you do. Like, make it real, less conceptual for us about you
Yeah.
create a community, and then you do launches. And tell us about one of them.
Yeah, totally. So as far as the group is concerned, it's a Facebook VIP group. So it's just a group on Facebook that we, link to our Facebook page. It
What's
becomes
a
the VIP.
VIP group? Is that
So,
that's
so
not a tech group, right?
no. Sorry, it's just a group that we're calling a
Okay, great.
VIP group. Yeah.
Aha.
So at first, to get people in that group, we were just hitting our email list and just letting them know, hey, we've got this group. What we're going to do with this group is if you join, you're going to get early access to things. That's basically all we told people. We're just going to give you early access.
Early access. Yeah.
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 So
Like it.
people knew that, as a smaller brand, that we were starting to sell out of things quite a bit. And so
Sure.
for them to get early access was really a big deal for some people. So we had 1,000 people join the group. We're like, oh, this is amazing. We just start to do these little launches. And so within the group, this is some of the great things within the group is you can ask questions to your group, right? This is one of the biggest value pieces besides this gated launch strategy, which I'll walk through really practically for you. But the amazing thing, and I'll tell you a story because I know your audience loves stories. This Christmas time, we were about to launch 2 new graphics on some new shirts that we had just created, a new colorway. And so we kind of asked our group, we're like, hey guys, what do you think about these 2 graphics? Well, we had about 200 comments. I think one person said that they liked them and the rest were like, we hate these graphics. These are not good. We would not buy these. And so we're able to pivot really quickly into, hey, well, what do you think about these graphics? And immediately, everyone's like, wow, they actually listened. This is incredible. And we ended up selling out of that particular launch like almost immediately. So some of the incredible insights you can get from having a group. The other thing that I love about the group is that people egg each other on to buy, right? Within the group. As soon as we have a launch, people automatically, we had another launch a couple days ago, and immediately people are posting their cart after they've purchased. This is what I got. This is what I got. As soon as mail comes in, we'll have 30 or 40 posts a day from customers saying, this is what I got. And then you can see as soon as somebody posts that we're getting sales because they're inspired to purchase because of seeing other people's stuff out there. That comparatively to a group that's just say it was just an email list and we're like, hey, you guys are our VIPs. It's not, I don't think it would be nearly as effective as having
interactivity.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, do you have to pay to get the eyeballs? Like, we have people who belong to our group and our page and our community and all that on Facebook. We have clients who do a similar thing. Does anybody actually see what you put there, or do you have to pay to promote to them as well? Do you do both of those things?
No, so within the group, you can't boost a post from within a group, right? It's only organic reach within the group itself. So generally, say we have about 8,000 members in there now. Generally, about 3,000 to 5,000 are going to see one of our posts that we post. Yeah. And if somebody else posts, generally 2,000 to 3,000 will see that, which is incredible if you think about all that user-generated content, right? 10 to 20 posts a day, let's say. And all of those eyeballs of people saying how much they love our product. And we're not doing anything. We're not promoting that. They're just within the VIP group.
So the VIP group, they see and learn about the thing first by being there. Are they? No.
No. So the way that we get people into the VIP group, we do not advertise the VIP group to people who have not purchased from us before. We will let anybody in. It is a closed group. We'll let anybody in. But the way that we get people into the group is anybody who purchases for the first time gets a personalized video from us. We use a service called Bonjouro. They'll get a personalized video from one of our employees, usually the next day, just saying hey, Mary, thanks so much for purchasing those, wild fish leggings. We hope that you love them. If you want, to chat with other people who have purchased from Little and Lively, join our VIP group. You'll also get early access. That's basically the video. And that's how we get them in.
And then do they get early access?
Yes. So, okay. So do you want me to walk you through one of those?
Yeah. Talk to us. Yeah, it's great.
Cool. So one thing before I walk through what one of these early access, we call them gated launches. But before I walk through that, one missing piece to this that I think is really like just skyrocketed the kind of results that we're able to get is we add an SMS component, so a text message component. So because people were saying like, oh, I'm not seeing the posts on Facebook, I'm not getting like notified right away. So what we did is we, as an adjunct, added SMS marketing into the mix. And so our SMS list is about 8,000 people as well. So those VIPs on Facebook and our SMS subscribers will get early access. So that's something to note, so that people aren't just having to go on
hidden link or something like that. Like you've got an item, it's ready to go. It's just not listed or in the feed of your visual website.
Even more than that, Bill. So what we do is we actually password protect the site for 12 to 24 hours before. And we give the password to people who are on an SMS list and on the VIP group. We say, okay, here's the password, early bird 1. People have to enter the password to get onto the website and then make a purchase. I love the psychology behind it, right? Because people have made this little micro commitment when they enter the password, right? They've already made that first little commitment that, and then their next commitment would be adding to cart and then putting in their payment information and then purchasing. But in this launch that we're talking about right now, so within 24 hours, we did $250,000 of sales in that launch, e-commerce sales, no ads, no discounts. This was just a pure product release. Just absolutely nothing other than like, hey, do you guys like this product? In the first 2 hours, we did about $120,000 in sales using that. We have replicated it time and time again.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's no joke, right?
Yeah.
Not bad. So we've got SMS. Now, how do you link in the SMS technically? You get them to sign up separately. You tell the group what to do. How do you coordinate those two things?
Yeah, so we'll put the sign up link within the VIP group, and then we'll also retarget people who have purchased with that SMS link to sign up as well.
Mm-hmm. So then you can go out and you can ping them, right? You can.
Totally. And so we don't hit that list very often. I don't enjoy getting SMSs from, random businesses. So we make sure to hit that list maybe twice a month. And that's about as much as we're going to do.
I get red flag alerts for fire danger, alerts to shut off my power to do with wind and fire danger. I get political solicitations, blood drives. What else do I get?
Yeah, totally. And that's the thing about this, right? Is you don't want to come off spammy, right? These are your VIPs that you really want to protect. So like we did a launch 3 or 4 days ago, and in the first hour, we did $110,000 in sales, and it was 90% returning customer rate. So people who have purchased from us before. So we want to make sure to protect those people, right? And not spam them and make them not love our brand like they do.
That's pretty good. So is it like a $60 price point, or what are the kinds of items you're selling?
Our average order value is about 120. We have a free shipping threshold at 100. So I recommend that to everybody in the e-commerce space. Have a free shipping threshold. You don't need to be Amazon. You don't have to give free shipping on everything. People will purchase a little bit more, especially like a little hack that we like to use is like, just make your free shipping threshold two items doesn't quite get you there, right? So that they have to go above that, and I think that's why we have about $120 average order value.
Yeah, so you've got like $40 to $50 prices, and then so they're getting a third item in to bump it over.
Totally, yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so I hear creating a community, involving people in a way they can talk to each other, and I know that a lot of companies are worried about doing that kind of thing. Like they don't want to have customers talking to each other about things. They're worried that they'll say bad things about them, which they might, right? Like especially if they think something.
Yeah, and that's definitely a concern. Bill, I've got a kind of a story around that.
Yeah, please talk to us about that. Yeah.
about a brand who kind of went about it in a different sort of way, trying to create this community. So they and I know the brand pretty well, and they did not want their customers talking to each other. They thought that it would become toxic, and that there would be these long threads of, people saying like, oh my gosh, I got the wrong size and whatever, and just being upset about things, and that they would take their customer service complaints out within the group. So instead what they did is they created a community that had no interaction between it. And comparatively, as far as growth is concerned, we've grown 79% year over year. And we basically started doing this year. We were always on a pretty good growth trajectory. For them, they flatlined. Absolutely no growth. Yet have invested probably a lot more into this community that's just email based. And so for me, I know that's, it's just one business versus another. I know that other business, pretty well. And it definitely makes me sad for them that they were scared about that, because their customer service is so good. The other interesting thing in the VIP group, and we love this, is we will get customer service complaints in there, and our customers will generally stick up for us. We don't even have to say anything. And they'll, like, one of our customers will say like, oh, hey, just email them at hello@littleandlively.com. They'll take care of anything that you need.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the power.
Yeah. To that, getting that, well, if you've taken care of people, if you've been good, right? And I think most of our audience is trying to do the right thing. They're trying to create good products. They're trying to take care of people. If you're a rip-off artist, you're not going to probably stick around listening to this show and being in our world.
If you know you're a rip-off artist.
If you know, well, right. So we're all guilty of doing something sometimes thoughtlessly without realizing. Great. How about any others? Kids apparel, your parts company, linens, all things like that. What other stories can you share with us from this world of community and outreach marketing and launches and all that?
Well, it's interesting. We actually have some really compelling numbers of why these gated launches and these VIP communities actually make a lot of sense. So we've done a lot of comparative data, because we want to roll this out to clients from a marketing agency standpoint, right? Because I really believe that there's so much value there. So we've looked year over year from when we launched these launches, the regular way versus the way that we're doing them now as gated launches and with a VIP community. And we can attribute an extra $800,000 in revenue to having the VIP group. That to me is just phenomenal. And it's the stories that come out of it, and the way that we just don't have to spend the same amount that we used to on Facebook ads. To me, that really makes a huge difference. We have this joke now at our marketing agency that we're the ads agency that gets you off ads, because I really do believe that, yes, ads help you scale immensely, but what's even better is not paying for those, right? Is having word of mouth, and so hearing that and getting that sort of like data back from our customers is amazing. What's better than data, though, and I think that you'll agree, as a story guy, is actually hearing real words from our customers about what they love about our brand. So we have a post-purchase survey that we get from people, and we just say, hey, why did you choose to shop with us today? And so we can get like these long sentences about why they love our brand, which helps with ad copy and all of that, and then continuing to do the things that they love.
Interesting. Yeah, I think engaging people, creating fans, creating communities, having people feel special, creating two-way connection and communication with people. All these things sound really great. The other thing I think that I really hear is the idea of launching products. So, of course, we see very big companies do this, where they will go out and they'll build a little theater and excitement around the whole thing. We see Apple used to do their things in fairly big physical gatherings. Now they've moved their launches to really well scripted, well produced online kinds of things. But it isn't just like the thing just appears in the website, and then they do an email blast to people. There's a thoughtful thing around creating some excitement and building some connection to what's coming, what's happening.
Totally. I think that's a really big part of this with any sales launch, is that there needs to be, like, you're not just going to launch it and nobody know anything about it and be like, oh, hey, we just launched this product, right? There's generally about a 2 to 3 week lead up with these sales launches that we really believe in, right? Like letting people know on social media, giving them sneak peeks into what we're doing, giving them the opportunity to join a group to get early access. I think is, again, a little micro commitment that you're getting people to make with your brand. There's all sorts of stuff like that I think can make a really big difference and make it from a $20,000 launch to a $100,000 launch, right? If we're talking kind of like cold hard cash figures.
Right. I think it's really great. Creating some excitement, building some momentum, some theater, some experience around the whole thing, letting people get excited about themselves. Even, I think this matters if it's a B2B sale. And some people would be like, yeah, that's fine for the consumer thing, but B2B, like, people are just solving a problem, just help them solve the problem. But I can remember taking over a company some years ago, and we would do seasonal fashion launches throughout the year, timed with market events and things like that. And then within that, there were releases that would come out every month and variations on the prior things. And there was a lot that went into it. And 6+ months of design work and prototyping, sampling, and then photography and marketing and all that stuff that would go to launch this stuff. And then bigger brands would meet with key buyers in dedicated showrooms and special places. They'd welcome in, and they were very upscale. But smaller companies like ours, the buyers would just go, oh, just go meet us over at this buying office kind of thing. And this is ugly, dingy, gray, gross kind of a place. And sometimes there wouldn't be anybody there, and you'd have to wait, and you'd be there with your sample bags and stuff. And then they'd open, and then you just sort of pull things out like some traveling salesman. It was just, I'm like, think about how they launch a car, right? There's a puff of smoke and dramatic music, and then they pull back the sheet, and there's a great deal of pizzazz. In the end, it's just a car. It's going to break down on you in the worst possible moment 5 years from now. But that whole buildup and the romance of the thing, the same thing's true. We were talking about the Apple computers launches of things, and in a geekier, different way, the way Tesla has been showing off, not just like a new car, but also then Elon launching or showing off a new space capsule for SpaceX, right? This idea of creating some theater and excitement. What does SpaceX spend per year on advertising marketing?
I'm assuming nothing.
Nothing. Yeah. I mean, you could say that all those launches and stuff are definitely a marketing expense, right? But like advertising, yeah, they don't need to. What they're doing is newsworthy enough. People will follow what they're doing, and they do it with a bit of flair, right? Now, say what you want. You might be a Tesla hater. You might think Elon is a big old bag of something. Undeniably brilliant and causing something, making a stir, however long you think it'll be lasting and its impact and so on. Undeniably creating a stir and doing things in a different, novel way. And that idea of creating launches is right there with that, right?
Yeah, I mean, the big brands, you can see, like you just talked about, the big brands are doing it, right? And obviously they have a lot of R&D behind doing these launches and the way that they do. A lot of it as well is theater for the market, right? Every time Apple does one of these launches, like, you can know, like, purchase stock before, because it's probably going to go up a little bit, right? It's going to get this little bump. Yeah,
with
very similar for us.
In your ears, I can tell you're not buying a Samsung product.
No, I'm an Apple guy. Yeah. I even bought the Pros.
Yes, the Pros are good for airplanes, right? Which we're all riding in these days. You got that noise canceling going on in the Pro model.
I bought the Pro because I have 3 kids.
Yeah, there you go. Blank that.
They have noise canceling.
How old are your kids?
7, 5, and 1 and a bit. 14 months.
Yeah, that's why you would have a mompreneur who invents a product that would work with cloth diapers, or whatever it is. That is necessity being the mother of all invention.
And it's funny as we get into different stages that
Yeah.
we're constantly thinking of we just have all these needs, right? As parents that we're like,
Right.
okay, we should make a
Yeah.
product for that.
Yes. And the way that your parents solved it or whatever came before is not good enough. You don't want to do that. Like, we had different things. I mean, my mom used cloth diapers because that's what there was. And then you had a diaper service that would clean them for you, do all that kind of thing, right? And then, of course, because everyone had them, the clothes fit with them and all that, which I guess is a thing. When we came and had our two kids, it was disposable diapers. And we like read about the cloth versus the other, and we're like, nope, it's disposable for us. So then we had to find that invention. We didn't just throw them in the garbage, right? They had to go in a special diaper genie who makes them magically go away into landfill. But that's how. Okay, so talk to us a little bit about this. You've got a special offer on your website, and we're going to talk about that in just a second, this sales launch checklist. Before we do that, let me remind our listeners that we have 240 episodes. Did I say that already? And all those back episodes, their show notes, their offers, their downloads, worksheets, all that kind of stuff at scalingcoach.com, and a free copy of our book, scalingcoach.com. We have workshops coming up. I'm doing one with Vern the next few days for over 700 people. On January 21, we'll have a very intimate workshop with a small number of companies. We'll be right here in San Francisco, but the companies may come from wherever. That's a small, limited audience one for just a handful of companies. January 21. Registration's open for that now. If you'd like a copy of the book Scaling Up for free, just pay the shipping and handling. Get that at scalingcoach.com. Have I said scalingcoach.com enough? I don't think so. I can spell it out slowly for you if you'd like. Anyway, go there for all that stuff. You can subscribe there and get a weekly update for this, for the show and the releases as they come out. I want to encourage folks, if the show helped you, pass it along to a friend or somebody else who's running a business and trying to scale them so they can get some of the love too. When you like us and give us a review, that really helps us to grow the show. So if you want to do something nice for us, besides following the people that we have on the show and our sponsors and that kind of thing, you can go do that at iTunes, YouTube, Stitcher, wherever you get your regular content here. And if you want to drop us a line, maybe you'd like to find a coach now, like so many have this year, to navigate these difficult times, changing, interesting times full of both peril and opportunity. You can drop us a note, info@scalingcoach.com. We can help you find a coach either in your neck of the woods or with the style or vibe you want within the greater, there's 200 coaches roughly in the world of scaling up. And we've all got a little bit different vibe to us. So we can help you find the person that touches on, emphasis on the aspects that are most important to you. Just drop us an email, info@scalingcoach.com. We will hook you up. And so we're going to get to that offer, your sales launch checklist, and the other stuff in just a second. Special thanks to Vern Harnish, creator of the Scaling Up Framework, the original Rockefeller Habits. In the background, working here before, after, and during the shows is Lucy Summers, producing everything, making it hum and sing. Thank you, Lucy. Also, shout out to Albert Burge at Podfly Productions, who edits the audio after the show, and Ein Kadina, who writes up our show notes, and Tim McGowan, who proofreads everything. So let's talk about your sales launch checklist. What is involved in that, and what happens when you do that? What do you get? What do you learn?
Yeah, so the sales launch checklist is essentially what we talked about, right? But it actually goes into detail of when to send, your first email, when to notify your VIP group, and it's just a checklist because I love checklists. My life probably would not exist without checklists, because I just drop the ball on everything if there's not a list.
Yep.
And so that's essentially what it is. And it walks you right through that. Now, don't think that, you're going to go ahead and use a sales launch checklist and immediately have a $250,000 sale. Right. There's a lot of back end work that goes into it before that. Right. But I really do believe that this checklist in particular, I say it probably made me, close to $1 million this year. And I really do believe that. And that's why we're giving it
even
away.
if you adapt it to make it your own, the pre-thinking that goes into a sales launch, we've talked about how the value of these communities and touch points, and then that whole how do we launch now into them, I think is brilliant. So it's going to be at mindfulmarketing.co/sales-launch-checklist. It's
Worst
there.
URL.
Screen crawl. What's that? Worst URL.
Oh, I said worst URL for sharing on podcasts, but
yes, it should be like SLC. Mindfulmarketing.co SLC. So anyway, you're going to go find it there, either from the screen crawl in the show notes or by listening slowly back and typing it into your browser, mobile, etc. You're going to find Jordan West and his company at mindfulmarketing.co. And I thank you so much for coming on the show today and talking with us and sharing a little bit of the wisdom and love of your world.
I really appreciate you having me on here. Like I said before, and I want people to know, like my two business partners are like massive fans of yours.
Awesome.
And now you've got 3 of us, Bill. So,
well, our mission is helping 5 million leaders before I retire. So that's 3 more down the road to our 5 million. Thank you so much. And thanks to our listeners for joining us. I hope this helps you keep scaling up and elevating your game, leveling up this year and through this interesting time that we're living in. Thanks, everyone. Keep listening. Keep scaling.